Welcome back to Tabletop Vibes. Today, I'm taking an overview of my absolute favorite game, and that is Through the Ages, A New Story of Civilization by Czech Games Edition. This is by far my absolute favorite game. I always love to play this game, always love to get it to the table, played it multiple times, had a blast every single time. If you're a fan of Sid Meier's Civilization, it's basically that, but on a board game format. Sort of. It's a blast, though. It's a lot of fun. Basically, in this game, you're hopefully going to be developing a very advanced, very powerful civilization, and whoever has the most culture points at the end of the game is going to win. So basically, how this game is set out, you have a player board in front of you, and you have a main section further out that everybody can play on. On your main player board, you're going to have the lower section, which is your people. These are your yellow cubes. And these are the ones that you're going to be bringing out and actually to run your civilization throughout the game. Then you're going to have the resource section, which is the blue section. And this is going to represent both your food and your resources, basically your stone, that you're going to need to construct other buildings and to feed your populace. After that, we have your government area. And this is, you all start with despotism. And this is going to represent your civil actions, which is the main actions that you can do throughout the game, as well as your military actions, which, as makes sense, is actually your military and how you bring your influence to other players, kind of take charge in a more military aspect. Then on the very top, we have kind of the core crux of the game, and these are these various cards. Now you start various cards on your board, and they are your military card. You'll start with a couple of soldier, well, one soldier. Then you go over to your food, which is your farms. That's how you feed your people. Your stone, your quarries, basically. And then you have some civic buildings. And to start off, you're going to have a way to generate a little culture and a way to generate a little bit of science. Now, the really neat thing about this game is when you take your guys, your yellow guys, and you put them on these cards, those guys are actually what's representing what is being produced. So it's not the card itself. The card itself is just your technology. But for every guy you put on there, so let's say you're doing, one farm, you put a guy on there, you generate one food. You put two guys on there, you generate two food, and so on and so forth. As the game progresses and you get more advanced cards, you could put them basically over your mine or your food or your civil or your military. And as you upgrade guys, then it becomes two military or two resource generated, two mines, or more science. So basically, as the game progresses, you're moving your guys up and making them more efficient as the game progresses. So nice little balancing aspect. Interesting way they did the game. Love that mechanic. Then as well, let's see, what else you got here? Then you got the main board. So that's basically your starting board there. Then you have your main board that's in the center of the table. And the main crux of this board is a whole bunch of cards all laid out through the center of the board. And on these cards, you're going to have various types. So you're going to have, you're going to have leaders. And these are really powerful. You want to get a leader. They kind of influence a certain direction and really kind of help out your game. Then you have, then you have your action cards. Yes. And for a first-time player, you can either go too heavy or too light on these. They usually provide you some sort of one-time bonus. I've played going really heavy and I've played going really light. There definitely is a balance to them. If you ignore them completely, it's not going to work out too well. But if you go heavy on them, you're wasting your turns taking and using all of these resource cards. Then you have wonders. And I have found out firsthand, it is imperative to probably take at least one wonder. It never works out for me if I don't take any. They are expensive because when you take them, you have to build them up stage by spending resources, specifically stone, to build up each level. Once you build it up, then you get whatever resource permanently on the card for the rest of the game. And these are really good to kind of fit little niches where your strategy might be failing a little bit. So wonders, really good to get. Don't overload them. Then you might have some government cards, and that happens in future ages. And with these, you can replace your initial despotism card. And this gives you more civil actions and more military actions, so you can do more on your turn each turn. Then you have other urban buildings, and these are the gray buildings. So you can upgrade your science or your culture buildings, but you also have ways to give additional culture and happiness. And happiness is very important to your civilization. People aren't happy, they're not happy, and you could face an uprising. Then finally, you have these blue technology cards, and these are sort of extra little cards. They have kind of some interesting little abilities. Some will give you extra military, some will give you extra exploration, some happiness, some culture. They're kind of a nice little mix to add to your civilization. So that basically covers all the cards that you're going to be seeing throughout the game that you can take that are not military. You can see there's a lot of different types of cards in this game. You also have some military cards, which can be wars or aggressions, and as you could probably tell, that's your fighting. Or you could also have, let's see here, you have pacts, so trade pacts, so you can trade back and forth. And you can also have beneficial cards, political action cards, which can benefit you or hurt other people, but those come up in a general sense as you play your turn. And you also have some defense cards, which also act as some colonization cards. So as you can see, there's a wide variety of range in this game, a lot to really sink your teeth into, a lot of strategy to develop. All right, now we got the cards out of the game. Now how does the game actually play? So on your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to do a potential political or military action. This is where you're going to have your hand of military cards, and if you choose, you're going to play some. Some require some of your military actions. Some you can place face down in a pile, take some victory points. When you put it face down, card gets flipped up. This is the result of I believe it's the political action. And for starting Age A, there's 4 ages: Age A, Age of Antiquity, Age 1, Age 2, and Age 3. And it kind of goes through the different levels of development in the human civilization. So let's see, Age of Antiquity, Age 1, I think is medieval, Age 2 is, I believe, Renaissance, and Age 3 is the modern age. So it really does grow in a more exponential factor rather than a linear. And you can really see that on the cards. The cards get exponentially more powerful, and your civilization grows exponentially. And you can fall further behind if you don't really kind of keep up. But like any great strategy game, you can't do everything. So you got to balance. So, like I said, you resolve the military or political action, and then it's time for your civil actions. And again, these are the core parts of the game. And you're going to have your civil actions, which are little white dots on your government. The military are the red dots. And you are going to do lots of different things with these civil actions, and you're going to want to do a lot more than you have, and again, more of the balance of the game. So with these civil actions, you can pull cards from the center. You can play cards that are in your hand. You can increase your population, so you can spend food to pull more people from your population track into waiting. You could take people that are in waiting and you can assign them to the various roles. So are they going to be a farmer, or are they going to be a scientist, or so on and so forth. Let's see here. That's mostly it. Build a wonder, obviously. Build a stage of a wonder, use it for that. Or if you get a new government card, you can go into revolution, which means instead of paying the science cost on the card, you exhaust all your civil actions and you have a revolution and you get a new government, but you've lost all your civil actions to do so, because revolution, nobody wants to work. So at the end of your turn, you are going to do some upkeep. And what this is going to consist of is discarding excess military cards that you have, because there's a hand limit. You're going to need to check your happiness level. So you compare your happiness marker and make sure it's covered all the way to where your population is. If any happiness is not covered, then they're unhappy, and you get what's called an uprising. This is really bad because you skip your production phase. It essentially puts you an entire turn behind. Don't do that. Keeping your happiness is one of the most important things in the game. If you made it through there, then what you do is you score your culture and your science. So you move them up on the track according to whatever you produce. And science is really important. You need your science to continue your civilization technology tree, and of course culture is your victory points. Then after that, you go and look and see if you have corruption. And what this is you look on your blue area of your player board, and you see if there's any little corruption pictures visible. And what this represents is your inefficient use of resources, let's say. Some of them go bad. So what you have to do is you start losing some resources in order to make up this corruption that you have, again, representing resources going bad. Then after that, you do your food production. So you see what your food production is. Slide your blue cubes up to your food stockpile. You do food consumption because, again, everybody has to eat. And that's represented by little food markers on your worker track all the way down on the bottom of your player board. So people eat. Then after that, you do resource production. That's the next one. And this is your stone areas. And this is, again, what you need to spend to really build up your civilization. And so you slide markers up there to resource produce. You draw your military cards equivalent to any unused military actions that round. And then you reset all your actions. So you pull back all your civil tokens and all your military tokens back to your government area. And that's the end of your turn. So again, I know it's a lot, but that just really gets into the meat of how this game plays, just from a quick overview of the rules and the turn. And you can see how complicated and rich and wonderful this game is. And that's really just showing like the solo version. This is a lot of interaction. You're pulling those cards that other people are going to meet. New cards get replenished, old cards get wiped away. So there's a card that might be there that you need, you can't get. Again, you have wars and aggressions, which means you're directly impacting and potentially fighting with other people. There's colonization on this game. So you can have new lands that show up and you need to send your military to colonize those new lands. And you vie in a bidding strategy of who's going to send more military, and they claim the colonization. Let's see here. What else is in this game? Yeah, I mean, there is so much in this, and I love this game so much. And they, this is an older game, but they did release an expansion for this. It is new cities and lands, cities and leaders. I know, correct me in the comments. I can't think of it offhand. But they added a whole bunch more cards to this game that really brings new life and a lot more freshness to the game and a lot more strategy involved. You basically replace all your old cards with the new ones, or you mix them up, and then you may not know what you get. And again, it's a great game. It does play up to 4. I do find that the sweet spot for this game is 3, but you certainly can play it with 4. 2 is okay, but certainly more the merrier. So this has been Tabletop Vibes. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment if you've ever played the game and what your favorite strategy is, and we'll check you on the next one. Take care.